Mike Harrington. I really want to talk about sleep paralysis today because it's something I experience fairly often and it's very strange. I know it's a different experience for a lot of people who have had it. It is so strange. It really is hard to describe, but a simple definition would be you're awake but you're paralyzed and you can't move. So, people who sleepwalk have the opposite of that. When you fall into a deep sleep, when you're in REM sleep, there's a part of your brain near your brainstem that will disconnect from your spine so that you don't act out your dreams. And for people who sleepwalk, that doesn't happen. So they get up and move around and go through the fridge and mow the lawn or whatever they do. But with sleep paralysis, that part is still disconnected, but you wake up consciously. And it is terrifying. It's real scary. But also, other weird things will happen too. A lot of people talk about how they feel like there's some negative entity or some like demon just in like the corner of their vision. Because when it happens to me, my eyes will be closed. And also leading into it, it'll happen when I take a nap. A lot of times, if I'm really tired, I'll take a nap and I'll set an alarm for 20 minutes. And then that will go off and it will wake me up. And a lot of times, I'll shut it off with the Google thing. I'll say, shut off the timer or shut off the alarm. Oh, it's talking. I don't know if you can hear it. I was trying not to say that. It's always listening. But then I'm still so tired, I kind of fall back asleep, and I can sense when I'm about to go into sleep paralysis. And sometimes I'll hear like a loud bang. That sound, I know it's just in my head, but it sounds like it's coming externally. And other times it'll feel like I'm floating. Like if I'm laying down, it feels like I'm floating up, upside down. And then once I'm fully upside down, that's like the point of no return. And it's also happened to me when I've practiced doing like guided astral projection things on YouTube where it's like a guided meditation and you kind of try to relax your body completely, totally clear your mind, and you'll start to feel a tingling in your body. And you kind of imagine that your energetic body is floating out of your physical body. And it can be an interesting experience. The mind is very strange, can do a lot of different things. So that'll happen. But then the weirdest part about it is a lot of times I'll go into a dream, but the dream mirrors my exact reality and experience. My dream will mirror me having sleep paralysis in the room and situation that I'm in. So I'm trying to get out of the sleep paralysis. I'm trying to like roll back and forth. I'm trying to yell. Sometimes I'll try to say to my home assistant to turn on the light, my technological home assistant, to turn the light on and see if that'll wake me up. And then I can't. And then eventually I will get up and I'll be like stumbling around in my apartment, but I can't get out of the sleep paralysis. I'm still stuck in it. But a few weeks ago I did it and there were no lights on. And that my dream mirrored, like I mirrored my reality in my dream. And I'd stumbled over to my door. Like, and it's like I can barely move. I'm not fully conscious or awake. And I opened my door and I remembered the lights were off in the hallway, and those lights are always on. So I was like, oh, something's wrong. Something's weird here. And then I managed to flip my living room light on, and then I fell back onto the couch and was still stuck in the sleep paralysis. But then when I eventually actually woke out of it in real reality, my living room light was on. And I was like, what the hell? Like, did I actually get up and turn my light on? Was I sleepwalking? what happened? It's so much stranger than this. It's really is hard to describe, and I know a lot of people have experienced it, and that's part of the reason I'm making this video is because I would like to hear about what your experiences with sleep paralysis are in the comment section. I'm very genuinely curious. But it happened to me last night also, and I rolled. I was stuck in the sleep paralysis in my bed. I'm trying to like rock back and forth, even though I can't move, to try to like jolt myself out of it, which does sometimes work. But I ended up rolling over to the side of my bed. I rolled off my bed, so my back was going to hit the floor, but I never hit the floor, and I just kept falling and falling. And then eventually I got up, and I was walking around, and someone I know was in my apartment, but there was a clone of that person. There were two of them. And I was like scaring this person, and I couldn't tell which one was the real one. And I was trying to like run after them. But then part of me is like, is this actually happening or is this a dream? And then but the weird thing is like, I returned to my bed where I was sleeping, and then I woke up. Like, I don't just wake up out of it. It's like it completes the loop. And then I woke up, and then I had weird thoughts, and it was like 3 a.m. and I was thinking about, like, a thought came into my head, and it was like, all the demons in your life are invited in. And it reminded me of the story of vampires, which is kind of an analogy for people. The thing with vampires is, you know, well, there's a lot of things with vampires. I mean, they feed off of human energy. One thing with vampires, too, is that they have to be invited into your home. They'll never come into your home unless you invite them. They can't see their own reflection in a mirror, and they will be killed by light. And these are all kind of analogous in a way, I think, to a certain kind of human, not an actual vampire. But people who will drain your energy or try to take your energy away from you, they need to be invited into your life. And once they are, then they're like, okay, now I can like get to work here. And the idea, that's like the idea that they drink blood, right? Like they're taking your energy. And the fact they can't see their own reflection demonstrates how they can't see themselves. They don't see how what they're doing is wrong or how it's not a good way to live. They can't really like reflect on themselves. And then light, being the thing that destroys them, is the truth. So the truth will destroy a vampire, will destroy people like that. If you're like, hey, you are really draining, I feel like you're always looking out for yourself and you don't care about me or my energy or my emotions, and you're just trying to take everything from me that you can, that will destroy the vampire and it will remove these people from your life. But I just had this thought pop in my head when I woke up, and it was like, the demons in your life have to be invited in. And then I thought something else too. I forget what it was, but it was like, I really don't believe in stuff like that. But the sleep paralysis, like it feels and it's also strange how everyone else who experiences it will have a similar story. Like it feels like there's some like negative force in the room with you, watching you. And this has happened to me so many times. And I did actually start doing it on purpose, because it can also happen when you try to lucid dream, which is very fun. If you're lucid dreaming, it's just as you're falling asleep, you want to remain aware. And if you can remain aware as you're falling asleep, you'll start to see images like in your mind, like where your dream would be, like a projector. And when you first start trying to do this, as soon as you notice it or as soon as they start to get more clear, you'll think and you'll be like, oh, that's cool, I'm seeing it. This is more like visual than in normal, regular life. But then it goes away, you lose it. So you have to learn how to be aware and observe when the dream projector is starting to go on in your mind, and you have to keep a clear mind through that. And then eventually it takes over everything, and you're there, and you're like, okay, I'm in a dream right now. So I've had sleep paralysis happen when I try to do that. But also on lucid dreams, real quick, I had one where I was in a lucid dream and I was at this party, like this big cookout. There was this building with big ceilings, and there were people outside on the grass drinking. And I remember I was levitating. I was flying as like a party trick to impress people. And the more I did it, the more I was losing control over my ability to do it. And then I was standing on the grass talking to somebody, and I said, "Hey, do you know you're not real and that this is just a dream?" And he got real serious, and he leaned into me and he said, "If you keep talking like that, you're going to become an experiment." And I remember I was like, "That's insane." It was very powerful, and I was like, "Oh, what does that even mean?" But it's also how there's similar experiences with dreams and lucid dreaming, because even in the movie Inception, they talk about that, like, don't change things around too much, don't. And the thing when like everyone stops and looks at them, that also happened when I said that to this guy. Everything in the party stopped and everybody looked at me. So maybe that's a common thing with lucid dreaming and dreaming. Maybe I was influenced to think that from the movie Inception. I'm not sure. But I just feel like there's so many mystical, strange things in everyday life that just kind of go unnoticed. One thing I've been talking about with a friend is how, like, I've been talking about this a lot lately, is energy and being able to read people's energy. Like, I feel like this is a very basic skill. This is something that animals can do, it's something people can do, but just in our modern society and day to day type of stuff, we don't really have a ton of opportunities to practice it. Or it's almost like the waters aren't still enough to be able to feel it sometimes. But everybody's had the experience of meeting somebody they think is a little off, and they just get a bad feeling about them, and they're like, something's off with that person, or I don't like that guy. Or maybe you meet a person, you're like, this person is very cool. They have good energy and good vibes and all that. But, it's like the thing where it's like, oh, the hairs on the back of my neck stood up. It's like, that's a real thing. And everything is resonating, everything is radiating energy, physical, inanimate objects are, humans are. And so the idea that, the energy you're radiating is going to be different based off what your intentions are or what emotional state you're in, I think is like science. It's like proven. I mean, someone must have measured that. But also I think some of this stuff is almost, it's like the only instrument sophisticated enough to measure someone else's consciousness is your own consciousness or other consciousness. Like certain instruments can't, physical instruments can't measure that as well as your own mind would be able to. But it's interesting because I was talking about that, and then also, like when I was younger, I would sneak into places a lot just for fun. Like just walk past the security person and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to pick up a check." But you have to really believe it in yourself to be able to do it. Like it was a comedy show. It was Louis C.K.'s comedy show. He was playing at a smaller venue in Boston. And I had been doing security at that time for Live Nation, so we would work at a bunch of different venues. And I knew that this venue contracted other security, so I just walked up to the front. I was like, "Hey man, picking up a check." And you just walk by confidently, and they don't question it. Well, there was that famous story of those guys who snuck into the Super Bowl that way because they were carrying a ladder. But it's like, that's an example of your energy. Like, if you can really believe it, if there's any part of you that's worried you're going to get caught when you're doing that, they're probably going to be like, "Oh, hang on a second. Who are you? Can you come back over here?" But it is very fun. It makes you feel like a secret agent. Remember they were doing, there was like a movie set in Boston, and they had part of the street blocked off, and there was security there, and I walked past him. He's like, hey man, you can't go down there. And I was like, dude, I'm on set. I've walked past you like 5 times today. And I just made it seem like I was genuinely disappointed and hurt that he didn't recognize me. And he was like, oh, sorry, man. I walked around. I think they were filming like Ghostbusters or something. The one with women. The bad one. Not because it was with women, but it was objectively bad. No one liked it. And it didn't make a lot of money. Yeah, sleep paralysis, lucid dreaming, reading people's energy. It's fun stuff. It's real fun stuff. But the sleep paralysis, it's really weird. It's weird how my dream mirrors my exact reality, and it's like you're in an alternate dimension. And then sometimes when you wake up out of it, you're like, what is reality? Because it seems so real when you're in it. I want to become a dream jumper. I want to learn how to like jump around other dreams or meet somebody in a dream. Maybe you can do that. I don't know. I think it's possible. I tried to read The Interpretation of Dreams by Sigmund Freud one time, and it was so bad. And I thought, maybe I'm not smart enough to understand this. But then I talked to other people, like a psychologist who I met like at a magic gig or something once, and I told him I had a hard time reading it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, everybody does. He's just was on a bunch of cocaine and just stream of consciousness writing a terrible book." So it's also, I don't know. So dreams are interesting if I know the person. Like if I know a lot about the other person and they tell me what their dream was, I am very interested in it. But if it's someone I just met and they tell me their dream, I'm like, I really, I don't want to hear it. Or maybe I do. I don't know. But that's what the interpretation of dreams is. It's like a lot of other people's dreams. And it's like, oh, you had a dream about a crab, a giant crab with wearing a blonde wig. Yeah, you want to kill your dad. That's what that means. You want to bang your mom and kill your dad. That was Sigmund Freud's. That was his whole thing. I might try to read it again, though. I have been reading Think Big, Grow Rich, because I did a magic gig for this dude on Newberry Street. It was an apartment on Newberry Street in Boston, and I went in through the back, so I'm in this alley. I'm in the basement. Then he brings me upstairs, and he had he was having a dinner party with like 10 people, and I was waiting in the lobby. And I looked up, and the staircase went all the way to the ceiling. So I thought I was in like the lobby of the building, but I came in through his apartment. And then I was like, "Oh, you own all 3 floors?" And then I went up to the second floor. In the hallway, went down like 5 buildings, and I was like, "Dude, what do you do for work?" And basically, he like buys debt, and then collects it from people. But I asked him to recommend some books, and he recommended the book Think Big, Grow Rich, which is also kind of along the lines of what I'm talking about because it is very esoteric, metaphysical. It talks about the power of belief and desire and energy, all that woo-woo stuff. But the main takeaway from the book is that you have to desire to get rich. You have to envision it. You have to really see it, the small details of what it would look like. You have to have a plan to get there, and you have to act on it. And then he just substantiates that in a million different ways about how a lot of other very successful people at the time would agree and say that they also did those things. I feel like I was going to say something else, though, about being at the gym. Oh, well, that book, I would read it in the sauna or the steam room. And so it's completely fallen apart. It's basically destroyed, but I think that's cool. It's like I have to read it before it gets completely destroyed by reading it in the steam room. So I need to get a new book. I don't want to read that one in there. The interpretation of dreams, because I've had it for a while, and I'll get a new book though. They should make steam room proof books. That could be a new invention. Laminated pages could be a new invention. But yeah, I mean, I have been thinking big. I haven't really grown rich yet, but anything could happen. It's 2025. The planets are aligning in a week, I'm pretty sure. I put it in my calendar. I sometimes put celestial events in my calendar. I don't really know why. I always want to go out and watch a meteor shower, like go somewhere dark and watch a meteor shower. But then it's like instead, I just stay home and watch TV. But that is one of those things where if you actually did get yourself to go out to like a dark place during a meteor shower and just sit down and watch it, it would actually be awesome. I've stargazed. It's pretty dark where I live now. I've been here like 4 years. I've done it a couple times. I did it once on a river, and it is very cool. It really does make you think. It puts things in perspective, especially when it's dark and you can see way more stars than you're used to. You're like, it really is crazy, like everything going on in the sky. But yeah, the planets are aligning. I mean, I assume that's good. Because they always taught, like, I feel like something like this happens every year, though, where they're like, oh, this moon and is going to be in line with this sun, and or like, this is such a very rare thing, or like, planet X is going to be as close as it ever gets, and it's, your chakras, or, and then nothing happens. But the planets aligning, like, that's something's got to happen. Like, if the planets are aligning, like, Hillary Clinton's definitely going to go to jail. There's no way she's not going to jail. If the planets are in a line, I'm going to look it up real quick. Planet alignment. Hillary Clinton. No, not actually. All right, so January 17th and 18th, 6 planets align in a celestial late evening parade. Wow. What's January 25th? Oh, this says January 25th. It's a rare celestial event, planetary alignment. The celestial spectacle awaits skywatchers in India on January 25th. Why only in India? Is that the only place you're going to be able to see it? Anyway, that'll be cool. I think you can see it everywhere. I'm not totally sure, though. All right. I think I'm going to continue to make more videos because it's winter. It's not a lot to do. It's starting to actually get cold. I just keep going out to eat so I can leave my apartment. I'll buy half of the things I need at the store so that I can go back out to the store again later in the week. I'm going to go out to eat tonight. I have a whole freezer bag full of cooked chicken, which is my new favorite thing to do. Every Sunday, just cook a bunch of chicken and put it in a bag, and then you have protein, and you just eat it. You look at it, and then you eat it, and it's good. Olive oil, spices. But basically, there's no reason for me to go out to dinner tonight other than the fact that I'm just bored, and I want to go out to dinner. But I'm going to keep making more videos, and they're probably all going to be about weird stuff like this. It's interesting. I think stuff like this is interesting, and you can't talk about a lot of weird stuff like this normally in like regular conversation. I think I was going to say that about the sauna at the gym. I do have a lot of interesting conversations in the sauna because I feel like it attracts a similar kind of person. It attracts people who like go ice swimming or do breath work. I don't like the term breath work. But that's another thing that's it's like kind of weird and like oh like I don't know, maybe like hippie-ish or whatever, but it's like there are certain rhythms you can breathe in that will affect how your body feels. Like if you're happy, you're going to be breathing at a certain rate and rhythm that will be different than if you're sad. So if you're sad, you're going to be breathing at a different rhythm. So I think a lot of the Hindus and Buddhists and people like that, they realize you can kind of override your biological system by, what is the rhythm of peace? So, like, if you breathe in that rhythm, you'll start to feel more at ease. And then the same thing with the chanting and the oming, like the om, you know, you are, oh, battery's low. You are, everything is vibration. Like Nikola Tesla. Like he said, everything is like sound, frequency, and vibration, and it is. And so through that, with certain chanting and stuff, you can change how your body feels. Maybe you could heal your body with magical chants. But yeah, the sauna is good for that, and it's also good. I've been going to the sauna like I'm on like 8 days in a row, and it improves circulation, but I can feel my blood flowing through my body, just like when I'm sitting on the couch. I've also been drinking turmeric milk. Oh shit! I want to knock my camera out. My laptop battery is low, and my charging port is all screwed up because of my cats. They like run and rip it out, so it only charges at certain angles. But yeah, I've been drinking turmeric milk also, which helps improve circulation. I've been doing beet juice this year, like beet and oranges and carrots. It is also like I am healthy. I go to the gym a lot and such. I try to eat pretty healthy. But I did notice this year at the gym last Monday, it was packed. It was basically like a parade of cars in the parking lot, and every single spot was full. And I was like, wow, this is incredibly annoying. I normally go later, so I don't have to deal with that. But I went at the normal times. I couldn't believe it. But then I went there this past Monday again at the same time, and it was just totally back to normal. So everybody's New Year's resolutions probably lasted about 2 weeks. Then they were like, all right, I can't be going to the gym all the time. And it's too bad, but, can't be having that many people at the gym. So it works out for me. But yeah, the sauna is incredible. And there's fun people in the sauna. There was one guy in there, like this is just an example. I don't know how it came up, but he was talking about the difference between solitude and loneliness. Because I live in a more rural area now. He was like, yeah, man, sometimes I'll be driving around, out here. And I was talking about how it's still novel to me, like driving down certain roads where there's no street lights and it's foggy and like you can't see anything. And, just I live in like kind of a city. It's not actually a city at all, but it pretends to be. But once you go outside of it, it is very rural. Like there's not much happening. He's talking about how like, and I grew up in Boston, and it's just so different. He was talking about how it's like, yeah, man, it's like the solitude. The solitude is nice. You have to enjoy it, but it's not loneliness. There's a difference. And it was an interesting point that he was making, but I could tell. I was like, no, you do seem very lonely. You seem very lonely and sad, and I think that's just something that you're telling yourself as you drive around the countryside. Yeah, that. And I was talking about like ice swimming with somebody, and I'll meet people who do that in there too. The last one I did was in October, but I'll do a couple. I'll do a couple in the dead of winter. Because I think that's good for you. There's some video that's been going around that's like, oh, ice swimming like increases your cortisol and you're increasing your aging and you're stressing your body. And it's like, I feel like it was just this viral like Instagram reel. Because if I ever, sometimes I'll mention it to people and they'll say that, and I'm like, you are only saying that because you saw a 20-second Instagram reel of a guy saying that, you know? But people want to believe that. They want to be like, oh, okay, I'm glad that's not really good for me and healthy because I definitely don't want to do that. And even if it is, which it's not, it's almost more about like the mental discipline that you get from doing it. You're like fortifying your willpower when you go into the ice water on a cold day. That's another one of those things that's just, it's like if you tried it, or someone who would never do that tried it, they would get it. Because you get out of the water. Like you'll be cold before you go in the water. You're cold as you walk into it. Then you dunk under the water. It shocks your body so much that when you get out, you're not cold at all. Like you could stand there for like 15 minutes and you're just so awake because your body just went into absolute overdrive. Probably because it thought they were like, use all resources we have, need to stay alive. Like you go into survival mode, I think. Then there is also a breathing technique that you can do where you breathe to like make more red blood cells and stuff. And it's the Wim Hof method. He made it real popular, which he did really just, he rebranded Po Wa meditation that the Buddhists had created, but that's all right. That's fine. It's about the message. And the message of today is that sleep paralysis is real weird. I'm going to talk about it more. I'll try to think about how to explain it in a better way, and I'll think more about the recent experiences I've had. But I really do want to hear your experiences with sleep paralysis if it has ever happened to you. I'm Mike Harrington. Thank you so much for listening. Watch the planet alignment if you are in India, and have a great day.